Hi, everybody. Guess what day it is? That's right, it's Devotion Day. As I record this, it's really pretty nice out here. The weather's warm, the sky is clear, sun is starting to set, so it's a little shadowy, but it's not too bad. Really a pleasant early fall afternoon. And I look around, I see some of the trees starting to change. I think my hummingbirds have given up and taken off for the south. And by the way, now is a great time to aerate and overseed your yard. I've gone ahead and done that. I kind of wish we had a little bit more rain. The ground's pretty dry, the seed could use it, and I'm kind of dragging sprinklers around so it really takes. And as I was scattering that seed the other day, I thought of a parable of Jesus. Several times in the Bible, we see agricultural metaphors being used. That's because they were an agricultural society. If the Bible would be written today, we'd probably see a lot of things mentioned about like the internet and traffic and that sort of thing. But Jesus gives this parable about scattering seed. We call it the parable of the sower, or it might be even more accurate to call it the parable of the soils. It begins with a sower scattering seed, and sometimes people will take that to mean, well, we also should go forth and scatter seed, just spread it wherever. And yeah, it's good to spread the gospel, but I don't think that was really the point of that parable. It wasn't about the spreading of the gospel message. It was more about the reception of the gospel message. You might remember the parable. It's found in Luke chapter 8. And as Jesus gives the parable, he talks about 4 kinds of soils. There's the path. The seed hits it. It never gets into anywhere. It never sprouts. It gets trampled, gets eaten by birds. The second soil that the seed hits, it's the rocky area. The seed gets in there, it'll sprout, it'll grow, but then it withers because there's just no root. Then there's the thorny places with a lot of weeds, where the seed gets in there, it sprouts, it grows, but thorns and weeds choke the plant. Then you have the good soil, where the seed sprouts, it grows, it's highly productive. It's a parable about how people receive the news of Jesus. Some people hear, and it goes nowhere. The truth doesn't penetrate. You might as well throw a spitwad at a battleship. Nothing happens. Others, they hear and they listen, but they just can't persevere. Something pops up, it tests them, and they fold. They have no ability to push through. Then there's those who hear and listen, but everything else begins to interfere. All else life has to offer, well, it chokes their belief. They also fall away, more interested in everything else than in the gospel they had happily received. Then you have those who hear, who obey, and prosper. And they reflect the teaching of Jesus in their lives, and they truly follow him. As a minister, I get this parable. I've seen it happen. Each of these soils, to me, each of these soils has names attached. I've known each of them. I've seen people who had just no room for the truth of Christ. I've seen people receive Jesus, but crumble the moment the going gets rough. I've watched as people initially follow Christ and then just kind of lose interest. Eventually, Jesus is relegated to the background. Everything else is more interesting. Other parts of life much more pressing, and they fall away. And yes, I've seen those who believe, they obey, they follow Jesus. They're the ones that keep a minister from complete despair. Because seeing the others, that's just discouraging. It's the good soil people who go forth bearing fruit for Christ. They're the ones that kind of make the work worthwhile. They're the ones who can later look forward to life eternally with Christ. So this Wednesday I ask, what kind of soil are you? What kind do you want to be? If you're watching this, you're probably not the first type. They won't watch a video about Jesus that's over 4 minutes long right now. Do you have the ability to see it through rough times? Will you make Jesus a priority over the other things the world offers? Because if you won't, you're not going to bear the fruit that Jesus wants you to bear. So think about that today. What kind of soil do you want to be? How can you be the good soil? Have a good Wednesday.